we begin with what is a massive devastation in Turkey and in Syria. The death toll still climbing 4 days now after the powerful earthquake struck.
More than 22,000 people are confirmed dead. Rescuers are racing to find more survivors in the rubble. Many loved ones are bracing for the worst, but moments like this spark hope. This 17-year-old was pulled to safety after being trapped for 95 hours under the rubble in Turkey.
Now, temperatures in this region are below freezing. Survivors desperate right now for shelter and hot food, but all of it difficult to reach. The United Nations Rescue Envoy is providing humanitarian aid, and the United States has pledged $85 million in disaster relief.
CBS News foreign correspondent Ramy Inocencio is following this for us from London. Ramy, we talked about those punishing conditions. What are we learning about how that cold weather is impacting some of these rescue efforts?
Elaine, hi. Yes, because of those freezing temperatures, the cold rain, the snow, and of course, don't forget about the wind chills, the World Health Organization is now warning of this second humanitarian disaster if those survivors don't get access to food and water, to shelter, and to medicine as fast as possible. In addition, an untold number of people, we're told, may have already died from hypothermia in the past 4 days while buried under that rubble. Any injuries, blood loss would make any of them even more vulnerable to the temperatures. Now, the most recent tally of the injured that we have now is more than 82,000 people, and that is across both Turkey and Syria. We know tens of thousands of people have now spent 4 nights in makeshift shelters, tens of thousands of people, and then the freezing weather is just that much more. Physical torment, physical suffering on top of those injuries, and then, of course, on top of the psychological trauma as they live through further aftershocks and about questions about the future. Right now, it's just past 8 p.m. in Turkey, people going into their 5th night since the quake, and in much of the region there, it's already fallen back below freezing, and it's also started snowing.
You know, Remy, I think what is so disturbing, in addition to everything you've just spelled out, is that we can see to some degree what's happening in Turkey, but not in northwestern Syria because of the damage there and the results of the ongoing civil war that's been taking place. All of it just seems very complicated. So what more can you tell us about how the logistics of not just the rescue efforts, but helping those who have survived are unfolding despite all these challenges?
Yeah, absolutely, Errol. It's really not for lack of trying, right? And aid is getting through, but only slowly, and it's just starting to. U.S. search and rescue teams have recently arrived. The first UN convoy did make it into Syria via the Turkish border, but we know the hurdles for aid workers are immense, whether that is by land, by air, or by sea, and that's because the roads and bridges have been damaged. Runways at airports have been split, and containers at ports have been toppled. What we're also hearing right now is that while aid is waiting to get in, Everstream Analytics said that it expects air freight backlogs to get even worse as some airports limit passenger flights. They often carry freight too, but they're giving that to priority to rescue teams. But it warned that road transport will be disrupted for days. That's until workers can clear all of the rubble and repair those roads there. But we're also seeing that in Turkey, the WHO's own staff in the city of Gaziantep, in the epicenter of the quake, have reportedly been stuck, unable to get home. So they've been living and sleeping in the offices there where they're working at the same time. And Errol, you mentioned Syria. President Bashar al-Assad has actually criticized Western countries, blaming sanctions from the U.S. and EU on the lack of humanitarian assistance. But the U.S. has pushed back, saying sanctions don't apply to humanitarian efforts. But it's also worth to point out that Syria's government says that any aid that comes to the country should not go through Turkey, but must go through the capital of Damascus. That is about 250 miles south of the quake zone, further slowing down any aid that could come into the country.
Just a whole range of enormous challenges. Ramy Inocencio. Ramy, thank you.
Thank you, Ramy.
Of course.